All right. So like I was saying, I've looked at the data set that is powering this satisfaction survey report. I don't know what that was the correct. It has to go with your project or your program name, and also maybe your tool. For me, I think it was more of trying to find impact. So it was more of impact and satisfaction and level of satisfaction. So you've done actually a very good job in terms of analyzing the food security indicators. I saw there was also a component of also livelihoods. Yes, livelihoods, and also a component of cash transfer and all that. And they really came out very well. So maybe one of the things that like you maybe to brush on is when it comes to presentation of your results. All right. So you see how I've presented mine. Presentation is very key, equally as important as your analysis. All right. So I believe I showed you how to structure this template. This is a template. This is a report template. Feel free to adopt any kind of template that you want. But the most important thing, if you decide to use an Excel to report, which is usually actually very recommended because it's as compared to Word document, it's more dynamic. You can actually interact with your data. You can actually look at different angles of your data and the report. Right? And you can also look at the different dimensions, and you can also organize your report into sections. All right. So this is, I just want to say maybe this is our title page. And then it's not just any normal report. We have a dashboard. And under this dashboard, we had mentioned that you look at the major items, all right? It's like sort of a bulletin, all right? The key indicators that you guys are interested in. And I've said these are just normal charts and graphs that we find in Excel. The only thing that we have done here is to actually customize it. All right, we've just played around in terms of the formatting. What colors are we using? Where, like you can see, I've removed the backgrounds, I've removed the grids, and I'm only showing, I've actually converted those charts and graphs to look like visuals, which they are, but they're being powered by data. All right. So you can even look at the choice of color. All right. The choice of color and how I've arranged this. All right. So feel free to use anything. This one is still under development. We have cash transfer by month, food consumption score. All right. You can see here also the color in terms of your indicators. All right. So this is very good. And then you have now a detailed report. All right. So under this detailed report, this is whereby you are reporting on the entire survey tool. Right. So we are looking at every variable that was captured in our survey tool has to be reported on. So technically, this is a visual representation of the data set that you sent me. All right, and you can see that we have actually organized it into the various variables that we had. Okay, so in terms of your pivot tables, it's also good to look at the titles. You see these titles, the headers, the column headers. All right. So you had asked me, I think before we handled that, I don't know whether there's one. Yes, like just give me a minute, please. I think there's some noise. Yes, Abdirizak. Abdi?
Yes.
Yes, Paul, my daughter was crying, so I had to find another room that is imetulia kidogo. So vile tumesema, visualization, after you've analyzed, you need to do some final touches just to put a professional streak to your report. Number one, your report needs to have, before I go that, let me maybe finish with this. So unaona kama hii iko na the default. This is the default pivot table that we get in. Just let me just turn on some things here. You can see also we have removed the headers, right? The column headers and the row headers. We also removed. You can also remove this. You see, this function, this formula bar. You can also remove it so that people cannot, inakaa kama report, ikuwe kama report, not now the normal Excel, right? So inside here, under view, right? When you can see headers and grid lines have been turned off, right? Grid lines in zile, those lines that are crisscrossing each cell, right? So to turn it off, you come here to view and turn off grid lines. You can see that they are going to disappear. Right? Then for the headings, you can see, maybe let me, yes. The headings, you can see A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to where your report is going to end. This one, we call them under view tab, we call them headings. So once you are done with your report, you need to also turn them off. Also for your formula bar, you turn it off. And you can see now it takes a very good professional output. Now, when you come to here, let me just turn them on again to view. So this allows me to work with this. Now, you can see this pivot table. There are so many options that you can use, but I usually say the easiest way to format this is to highlight the range of your pivot table and then give it under home, you give it a background color, right? Like here for our cells, if we do yellow, it's going to assign yellow, all right? For me now, I'm just going to stick with white. White looks more professional and all that. And then for the part of our the headers, the pivot headers. Let me bring this one here that has not been done here. All right. So also here, the headers here, you need to also customize your header so that it doesn't read raw labels. This one that doesn't look professional. All right. So we change this, highlight your header, and then go to your formula bar and replace this. Like for our case here, we can just say cycles. All right. And when you click that, you now get this nicely done. And you can also still highlight everything and actually give it a white background like this so that you have something like this. All right. Then also when it comes to also font, you need to have also a consistent font and a font that really works well. For my case, I think I'm using Poppins, but feel free to use any other font as long as it's actually doing a very good job. I'd mentioned that a good way of using fonts is to use a default font that is found within within MS Excel. The most popular ones that you can use, especially in terms of reporting, we usually have Sego, right? So bolding, this one is usually for your titles, and then the normal is now for your report elements, all right? If you're not happy with this, we also have something like, we have Gabriola. You can use Gabriola. You can also use Jill Sans, right? And then the other one was, you can also use Georgia. Georgia is very good. And also you can also use Garamond. right? These are defaults, and each font is everything. How appealing is your report? People have a very short concentration span. All right, so you really want your report to really stand out at the end of the day. All right, and you want it to actually, when it's attractive, it helps to increase the concentration span of your end users. Okay, I think I need to turn off gradients. All right, that's better. So I think apart from this, everything was very good, very good. Yes. Right. And then these page navigators, make sure you have page navigators. You cannot just bundle everything into one. All right. So make sure you are able to just organize it like this. And then also under your home report here, you can actually bring in images. All right. You can actually bring in images. Like, for example, if you have donors who are supporting this program, the stakeholders, you can actually have their logos in here. Like, for example, I know this is not mine, but I have a logo for my own business name. You can actually bring in those images under insert. All right. So under here insert, you can actually go to illustrations, and then you have these options for pictures. So you can actually pick an online picture, or you can actually pick a picture on this device. All right. So I'm just going to go with this device, and then I'll pick a logo. All right. So my logo should be sitting, let me see. Should be somewhere. Okay, I think it's here. All right. So like for my logo, I might want to pick like this one here and say insert. And there you have your logo. So feel free to actually resize it. So if you have more than one logo, you can actually organize them here. Let me maybe pick one more. What is the name of your organization? Is it this?
Niliyokuandikia kwa chat ya.
Oh, per chat. Okay, let me just quickly. Yes. Okay. Let me now. Okay, very good. So let's even pick one of these. I think they are the same. Okay, so you can open that in a new page, and then you can just download this. Or yes, you need to download. You cannot copy. If you're working with the Word document, you can just copy directly. But for a case, we need to do what? To first download. So I'm just going to say save image. I don't know if that is the right one. I can also have others here. Let me just say. All right. So from there, you can just switch back here and just repeat the same process until you have all the logos that you need. All right. So right, let me maybe even pick this. Yes, insert, and there you have it. All right. So you can just balance all of them. All right, like that. So it looks very professional, and then you can actually navigate here. All right, and then you can navigate here. And if you also have other proportions or parts of your report, or other sections, you can also add them and continue linking each of these pages, right? So if anything comes up, please feel free to actually also adopt this. I've just given you this. This is yours. We've been building with you together. So feel free to adopt this. If you want to make it better, please feel free. All right. So now the next thing that I want us to look at is that this, like I've been looking at your data. Your data, I think, was captured by, I don't know whether it was Kobo or what you had. So how do you link your actually dashboard, right? How do we link this dashboard to your Kobo toolbox or wherever where your data is coming from? This ODK platform, it can be Kobo, it can be ODK, it can still be Honor or Service CTO. It does not matter. As long as it's XLS form compatible, you should be able to connect to them. Now, these platforms usually have a functionality called API. So API technically allows us to connect these platforms to other platforms. Like we have Kobo. Kobo supports API, has API functionality, meaning we can actually connect its data to other platforms such as Excel, such as Power BI, and any other data analytical platform such as Tableau, such as SAS, and even we have this other one that is coming out strongly, Retool, right? Retool is also it's very good for building M&E systems that are based on the cloud, but for Retool there's some, you have to subscribe, right? I think it's around $200 for each account per year. So $200 is very affordable for hosting, very affordable, especially for an organization, especially and for a whole year. And still, it has a free package, right? Where you can actually, it's not a free package, a trial version. I think it's one, I don't know whether it's, I think it's 30 days, right? Most of them are usually 14 days to 30 days. Now, let's see how do we link our data, all right? We've mentioned that this data capture happens periodically. And for your case, I believe it's on a monthly basis. So you want to be able to, instead of building this tool every day, every month, you can just set it up once and have a constant data collection interface that is based on Kobo Toolbox. If it's not based on Kobo Toolbox, you can also use Google. We have this component that is called Google Forms. Google Forms, it behaves the same way like Kobo Toolbox, right? It allows you to capture data and then it publishes that data to Google Sheets. So with Kobo Toolbox is very versatile. And this is not only for Kobo Toolbox. If you're on Honor, you still have the same access. If you are still on Service CTO, I don't know whether I still have my subscription for Service CTO, but let's check. So what I'm going to show you right now is going to be the same for all these platforms. And also, if you're, I don't have anything on ODK Central. Okay, yes, I don't have anything. Let's look at this. So all these are data collection platforms, and each one, they're similar in many things. It's just that most of them are not free. Roughly, on average, is $200 per year, all right? So, but Kobo here is entirely free. Kobo is entirely free, so you just need to just set up an account with it, and you are going to have an access to, to this very wonderful interface that helps you in terms of capturing your program data. All right, so this is where you sign up for your account. I'm not going to go into that because I believe you're already conversant with that. I'm going to show you how do you link. All right, so the first thing that you need to do when you are linking your Kobo Toolbox account is to first sign into the account, into the Kobo Toolbox account that has the data that you need. Okay. Now, when you are, which platform do you use for your data collection? Maybe before we decide to use Kobo. Mnatumia Kobo? Okay, let me show you now how to link it. And this is also going to be the same for Power BI, all right? Because Power BI also has Power Query. We said Power Query is the one that is tasked with linking to different data sources. Now, so once you are here, all right? Once you are here, you can see. Let me see. Okay, just give me a minute. All right. So ukishafungua hivi, you need to open a blank worksheet like this. All right. So maybe before we go that, so you pick the tool that you want to capture data on. What do I have? Let me see. Okay, let me just even use this one. Okay, use this one. And then under settings. Now, when it comes to sharing data, API allows you to share form specific data. So it will not share every data. It will only share for that form that you have authorized. So how do we authorize this? There are many ways of authorizing. The most default one is usually found under settings for your specific tool or instrument. All right. So under here, we have REST services. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go into these REST services. All I need us to do, okay, when you click on register a new service, it's going to provide this, right? But this is when you are linking also other platforms that are cloud-based. So REST is for cloud-based platforms that have access to the internet. And then what if you do not have access to the internet? Now, maybe before we go ahead, you can see here under sharing, all right? Who has access? This is MDC 2020. This is the admin. This is the super user or the administrator of this Kobo Toolbox account. When you are planning to build pipelines, data pipelines or downstream workflows, when I talk about pipelines, I'm saying that you want to build a self-updating real-time dashboard or M&E system. You need to come and create an account, a Kobo Toolbox account whose main job is only going to be used for sharing data. All right. I believe, I don't know whether you, how well conversant you are with this platform, but when you have this platform, you need to have an account for your enumerators or your field teams. And then you need to have an account for, if you have data analysts who are going to be using this, you can have one for data analyst. And then you also have, if you're going to build downstream pipelines, you create one for data. Like for this one, I can call one that says MDC 2020 data. All right. I do not recommend you using your super user to make those downstream workflows. All right. So once you have this, it becomes very easy for you. So the next thing that you need is to access the API. All right. Now for your API, you simply need, I wanted to show you this. Okay, I remember editing. View. Yeah. All right. So this is what I've just been saying. So you open a second browser panel and you go to this link. All right. Kobo tool. I want you to this is still part of the document that of our training document. Is on our online resource that I already shared with you. kc.kobotoolbox.org/API/ we have version 1 and we have version 2. All right. We are going to be using, you can use any of them, but the most ile mimi napenda inanga story mingi ni version 1. All right. Version 1. So this is API version 1, then data. All right. You can actually link to forms. You can actually link to, for the charts, I don't think we have one, but we have for data and we have for forms. Okay. So once you have this, you come here and paste it to your address. Now, what if you are using the humanitarian response? If you're using the humanitarian response, then it's also very straightforward. So for humanitarian response, you only take this. Maybe let me. Sasa hii utabadilisha. Hapa itakuwa kobotoolbox kc.kobotoolbox usually like this. Humanitarian response.info. I hope you know that kobotoolbox has 2 separate servers. This one is what is meant for everyone, and this one is meant for those organizations that work in humanitarian aid. All right. Yes. So yes. So kama uko kwa hiyo side ya humanitarian response, use this. If you are on the researchers and everyone else, you use this. You can see the only thing that changes is the KPI. Here kobotoolbox.org, and this one is humanitarian response.info. All right. So what happens once you have this? So once you have this, this is going to be your landing page. So where do we get our API links? All right. So it's quite easy. It's quite easy. You can just either scroll down and I don't know whether we have it here. Right. The next thing that you need to do is to come here under get. All right. Here we have options. Right, but we don't need to go more into these options. You come here to get, and you say you want to make a connection using you can see these are the various formats that you can actually transfer this data. So these are the data types that the data file type transfers that are supported. So this one allows you to transfer data automatically without having to intervene every time to download and re-download. You just come here and say, how do you want to transfer your data? You can transfer it as JSON, JSON-P, API, XML, CSV, XLS. Now, what works well with Excel? You can either have it as XLS, as XLSX, or as CSV. For my case, I'm just going to go with CSV. All right. So how do I share data that is in CSV? How do I transfer data in CSV format? So to do that, it's going to, once you click on that, it's going to download a file, right? It's going to download a file that is called data.csv. All right. And then from here, you need to find your form name. Right. You can see here you have our form name. Right. So our case, we wanted to download, to link this, right here, sample tool to capture and measure. This should be food security, not food consumption. And then you have the ID. Each form ID is unique. We have the ID string. For each form is also unique. Let me maybe highlight this so that right. So then we have the title. This is still the title, and then the URL. So what we need from here is this URL. Okay. So once you have this URL, this link, you are going to take this link. All right. Now, in this format, if you share this link is ready. but only if you're on Power BI. If you're in Excel, you'll need to just to actually work on this a little bit. All right. So in your Excel, you'll have to come and do something like this. So if this was our link, from this question mark all the way to CSV, all right, you put a full stop, you replace it with the file format that you want to transfer. So if it was CSV, you type CSV. If it was XLS, you also type XLS, or it can still be XLS X. It can still be so.json. So JSON is still a data transfer file format. All these are data transfer file formats. So either way that you pick, this is still going to work. All right. So let me just pick the one that has CSV. All right. Now, how do you know that your link is working? How do you know your link works? To test your link, you always have to test your link. You just paste that here. Dot CSV. All right. If I hit enter, it's going to download a file. All right. It's going to download a file. All right. Now, we do not want it to download a file. We want it to make a connection. So on your Excel here, you can see it has downloaded. It has downloaded. I only have one entry. All right. So I'm just going to close it and go to now. When you're making this connection, you have to make it before you start creating your dashboard. All right, that's what I usually recommend. You have to make it before you start creating your reports. All right, so you come here to data, and you can either go directly to Power Query, or you can just come here and say from other sources and select from web. All right, so when you click that, I see it's almost turning off. So your Power Query is going to open up, and then there are two things you need to do. If you're doing it for the first time, you have to enter the link, and then you have to provide a username and a password. These ones are not going to be displayed to any other person. Once you enter it, if you forget it, you have to redo it. Okay, welcome back. All right, so when you click from, okay, let me repeat that process again. I think it wasn't clear. So from data, we said you go to get data and select other sources, then you pick from web. This will work. This is how we connect to both ODK, COBOL, survey CTO, owner, this MDC. This is how we connect to it. It has to be from web. You don't do any other one. All right. For those people who come from the health sector, if you have also HDDS, the District Health Information Systems, the DHIS, it's still also the same approach. All right, this is how you connect to those platforms. So here, the first thing that under URL, you select basic. Then you paste here like this, and then you select OK. All right. So for the first time, for the first time, it will not connect immediately. You see what it's saying? This is what you're going to have. All right. So when it says we encountered an error, you say you can either do edit. Let me switch this. Let me just do it directly from Power Query. Get data. I'm going to go to launch Power Query editor. All right. From the Power Query, here under data source, you can see currently it's empty because we don't have any data loaded. So from the home tab here, you scroll up to here, right? Data source. All right. So we have a new source. You can go directly to online, other sources and pick web. All right. Then you paste it there. .csv. Then okay. All right. So it still brings this. All right. So what do we do with this? So we just cancel for now, and then you go to data source settings. All right. So under data source settings, you're going to see you have this as one of your sources. All right. So what do? You come and say clear permissions, and you say, okay, maybe let me explain that we have global permissions and we have data sources in the current workbook. So here currently it has not been added as a data source in the current workbook. It's still under global permissions. So we need to actually tell it that it should be able to allow us to sign in. So you clear permissions, click delete, and then close. And then you do it again under sources, web, Control V. All right. You see now you get to have to access this interface here. All right. Now from here you come to, currently it's anonymous. All right. So, but we know for us to access this Kobo toolbox, we need to provide some username and password. So you come to here, basic. All right. And then here you provide the name, MDC. For me, it's 2020. And then you provide with the password. All right. Do I remember the password? Just give me a minute. Let me fetch the password. Just a minute. I'm trying to retrieve the password. Kobo. All right. So I'm going to place my password here. And then I'll authorize connect. So for this, you only need to do it once. All right. So we said when you are making this connection, make sure you have a data account, a data transfer account. You can just call it MDC, your name, and then you can say if it was MDC 2020, say MDC 2020 data, so that you know this one is for sharing data. And at all times, you don't change the password, all right? Because if you change the password, then it means that your M&E system based in Excel, your Excel-based M&E system, you'll have to come and also update. I'll show you how to update that. So for now, you have this here, all right? So the next thing that you need to do is just to say it's going to give you a preview. Currently, I only have one. So you select OK. And then you can see it's going to load into Power Query. And from here, you can edit, you can, you can actually clean and everything and all that, all right? So once you are done with this, you just simply close and load. All right. So you're actually going to see that is going to come here. All right. So this is your data. All right. Now, from this bit, you can actually now come and under query here. All right. And then you say, I want to decide how under query option, query properties here. All right. So here you get to decide or you get to configure the refresh. Call it refresh what? How frequently will it, the refresh period, all right? So you can see here, enable background refresh. This one should always be turned on. You can decide to refresh after every, so if you say after every what? After every 60 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, you decide how you want to have it. For now, I'm just going to say refresh after every, I can say, after every 2 minutes. All right. If you want to have 1 day, you can change it. 1 day is 60 multiplied by 24. So every day at, so after it will start counting. Once you start doing this, it will start counting. Once that number of minutes is reached, it will refresh. And then you can also decide to refresh every time when opening the file. All right. So maybe let me turn this and say refresh data when opening the file. All right. So once you have that, you simply click on OK. All right. So now from here, you can actually come and did we name this? Let me just call it FSN. So your table is going to be called FSN. So from here, again, close and load. Now we switch back to Kobo Toolbox here. All right. And then I'm going to fill in quickly, maybe 2 surveys. So I'm going to use my web form open here. All right. So from here, I can say, let me call this all right. And then maybe let me pick the hunger score or something, or maybe let me pick this, maybe the food consumption score, and then quickly feed in the values. So from here, I can say this one, we can say 7. This is just theoretical. We can say maybe 5. I can maybe say 2. Okay, this can be again maybe 5. This can be 2. Vegetables, we can say maybe vegetables is daily. Can maybe say 0. How many days in the last days eat oil? We can say maybe this can made of butter. I can maybe say 3, and can say 7. All right. So can see it's actually auto-generating your food consumption score. Now, this is the other part. You can actually, you see this calculation that we've been doing in terms of analysis, you can also program this into your XLS forms. All right, so that especially if you have some follow-up things that you need to ask about this household, so you for your field teams, they don't have to keep calculating this. You can actually write that as a formula inside your XLS forms, so that it can be generating this as you go by. All right, so once I'm done with this, I can say maybe somewhere here, then okay, altitude, I can say 1200, accuracy, can give it 5. Capture, okay, this ones I don't need, I can say submit, and then okay. All right, so you can see here, yes. All right, now when you come here under data, you can see we only had one submission, but now we should be seeing 2 submissions. Let me refresh this. Okay, yes, it was submitted successful. When we refresh this, so we have 2. All right, now once this happens, I want you to notice that when you come to your Excel book here, all right, if I set up that automatic data refresh after 2 minutes, after 2 minutes it's going to refresh. All right, but let's say maybe I'm opening it for the first time. So maybe let me save this, Control S. I'm going to save it somewhere. All right. So from here, there are 2 ways you can actually refresh this. You can refresh this. You can go to data and select refresh all. And just by clicking refresh all, you should be able to see that it's going to update your data table. All right. So as data is streaming into your Kobo toolbox, so it's also going to be pushing it into your Excel workbook. And then from here, you are going to now use this. You're going to generate a pivot table from this that are going to power up your what? Your dashboards and reports, right? So every time, whether they are closing and if they're opening for the first time, every time they'll be opening this this template is going to first refresh, find out whether there's new data, and then connect to this. All right. Any questions to that bit? No. All right. So let's say maybe you actually got this. All right. You actually got this as a download. And you now maybe you had downloaded first, and then you created your pivot tables, and you created your reports, and you created your dashboards, right? But it was not originally connected to Kobo Toolbox. So how do you go about it? So to go about it, you again come to data. So how do we, like for your case, this data, I know is currently streaming in, there's some Kobo tool, there's some Kobo form sitting somewhere. All right. So you want it now to be real time, updating real time. So what do? You come, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. You come to data and you access your Power Query. All right. So when you access your Power Query, you'll come here to under data source settings. All right. Data source settings. Now, as you are doing this, make sure that this one is highlighted. You might be having more than one. Make sure the one that you want to update is highlighted. All right. So you select data source settings. All right. And then you come here. All right. And say change source. All right. So when you click change source, I want you to see what it's going to do. It's going to open here. You don't need to change anything here. You only need to change this link. All right. So for your case, like for this, so here you come and put your API link. All right. And then you click on OK and you click on close. Let me show you from this. So like for your case, if you want to now power this, you'll come and say data. Okay, I have to close this. Close and load. So here you come to data, you get data, launch Power Query. Just tell it okay. You come to data source set. Before you go to data source settings, I'll pick this and select data source settings. So it's going to tell you yes, you can't change from current workbook to an online source. So it has to first come back from your online source. So I think here what is coming out clearly. So if you have an online data source, you have to do it before you start building your reports. All right. So here, if by any chance, if you change the password, all right, maybe let me close this. If you happen to change your password and the user, you again come here to data. Go to Power Query. And then you select data source. Right, and I want you to know that this connection is going to be real time. It's going to be part of this document. So whether you share this document with any other person, on their end, it's also going to be updating. So they're also going to get getting real as the data is streaming in. It's also going to be updating on their own desktops. All right. So here you also say change source. Oh, yes, we have looked at this. If you want to change the password, you said you do what? You clear permissions. All right. So you just clear permissions and delete this. All right. And then edit permissions. All right. Then from here, privacy level. Just leave it the way it is. So for your credentials, you click on edit. All right. Then you come to basic. Then you provide the new username and the new password, and you click save. And then you click close. And that is how you update your passwords. All right. Any questions up to this? All right. So the other place that you might also want to work with, if you're not using Kobo,
we are together. Yeah, you want to say yeah.
Yes. Now, sometimes you might not be using Kobo Toolbox. You know that you can also, instead of sending your data directly to Kobo Toolbox, you can be sending it to Google Sheets. All right. So if your data is coming from Google Sheets, maybe let me just open one that we have. Did I cover this? I don't know whether we didn't finish. Huh? We did not finish. So you go to your Google Sheets. We said you first share your Google Sheets. All right. Once you've shared it, you have to create the link. Right. Okay, you're going to see it's going to be either anyone with the link or restricted. We had said that anyone with the link is good. Then you copy the link. So your link is going to come up in this format. Right. Let me just even use this instead of creating a new one. So, or do you want me to go through everything? Please let me know. I go through everything. Okay. So here, so let's say we are having some data sitting here. All right. So training on okay. So you have to first locate your Google Sheets. And it doesn't have to be only Google Sheets. It can still be a normal Excel that you saved into Excel. Google Sheets is able to work with any spreadsheet file that you have. So let's say on which one do I pick? Let me pick this. Let me even let me not mess this. Let me pick one of these. All right. So here you can directly go generate share or get link. So it's always good to first share, but you still do the same thing. So then you copy your link, and then this is what you're going to do to your link. I think I'd shown this, but it's okay. Let me just repeat it. So once you get your link, let me just do it here. All right. So this is how your link is going to look like. Right. So we need to do some editing a little bit. So from where you have edit question mark USP, from here edit question mark USP. All right. We are going to change it to export question mark format, then equals, then we provide the file format. All right. So here we are going to say up to here. We're going to replace this. Why is it picking everything? All right, then. So here we want to type export. All right. Then in what format? So we put the question mark to ask the format. So this is a query. So it's a query. So we want to return this data in the format of, and then format equals to. So if you want to have XLS, you can have XLS. If you want to have CSV like me, I can just have CSV like me. And then from here, we simply copy this. Copy. And then in Excel, I'm just going to use this FSN. I'm going to come here and say new source. And then I'll say other sources, then I'll say web. Right now for here, I don't need to provide any username and password. All right, I only need to have this because it's straightforward. Click OK, and then from here I'll just say unanimous. For Google Sheets, it's unanimous. For ODK, it is basic for the first time. Right, then you click connect. Right, and there you are. Okay, so you simply click on OK, and you're going to see that it's going to load it here. I can call this was FSL apply. Right, and then close it load. That's how you connect to Google Sheets. Any question after this bit? I think we have captured everything that we need. So this is how you build your data pipeline. So once you have this, you can clean your data, calculate what you want to calculate, take it back to Excel, generate your pivot tables, convert your pivot tables to charts, organize your report properly. If you want to have a dashboard, also have the dashboard using the methodologies that I already shared with you during our previous sessions. So this is everything that I wanted to us to cover. And this is all the matters that pertains to working with food security and nutrition data. All right. So this marks the end of this masterclass. But please, I also want you to note that as you are continue working on this, please feel free to reach out if you still need any help. Okay, because I understand that when you start now working on your own private data or organizational data, that is when the real learning starts from that moment, right? And I do provide post-training support to every other participant or every other client that I've trained on or I've coached. So feel free to always come back and ask if you want. Maybe you might need a safe like for me, I actually provide follow-up sessions after this. If you feel that there's some places you want us to revisit, you can always reach out to me and we can always organize so that we can have that follow-up session. So it has been a very wonderful. Pardon? Okay. So among these, if you intend to also follow up on getting skills on the, are you saying something?
Yes.
All right, maybe let me give you an opportunity to say I want one or two before we bring it to a close.
Okay.
Nakusikia.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Daniel, for your wonderful presentation, as well as the teaching style was good to great. I appreciate that. And I hope this will not be the end of our instruction. I think this is the beginning. Anyhow, support,
Mhm.
capacity building. Definitely, I'll come back to you. And
Okay.
our relationship will grow. I come to Europe, will visit you. I think we are in Europe. Also, before you close, I wanted to show go to survey.
Survey report. Okay.
Yes. And the team, yeah. Age. How do you calculate the value? Between age is that between. Yeah,
Here.
like this one. Male, low, 18 years. How did you evaluate? Because I have tried this one. I think you said this on PivotTable.
Yes, this is pivot table. So now for age had already been ilikuwa tayari ishakuwa categorized. Now maybe it's a good thing that you've mentioned about age. There are two ways. One of the things that you need to also understand when you're working with the data is how do you work with age data. Now, age can be presented in two ways. Number one, you can have age presented as in categorical. Let me just maybe switch data. So you can either have age as a specific age, like 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, or you can capture data in terms of age group. All right. So number one, so like your data was already presented as age group. Let me just navigate to go to column age group of respondents. All right. So this is how it was. So technically, you just have this age group under rows in your pivot tables. All right. Then you also under values, you also count these groups under values. All right.
Yeah, this one I can see, but what I'm talking is the one of the family household, like how many female below 18 years, how many male below 18 years, like that.
Oh, the household composition. It is still the same thing. All right.
I wanted to see how it's done in PivotTable.
So what I did is what I did. I actually managed this data. We see, I unpivoted. Let me close this. Let me just okay. Let me show you how it did it. So from Power Query, you know, your data will always assume many different forms, and the one of the main function of Power Query is to help you transform your data. Right? Transform is not all about data cleaning only. Right? Sometimes your data has been presented in terms of let me just choose to go to composition. I think we have packed it. There, here. All right. So you can see that it was presented as male below 18 years, female. Yes. All right. So when you are presented with this is still is the same variable, but it has been split into different categories. All right. So how do you analyze this data? All right. So when you're analyzing this data, you can either decide to report individually like this. But reporting individually like this is usually not the best way. So what you need to do is to create another table. All right. So what you're going to do, we duplicate this table. So I'm going to duplicate, right click here and select duplicate table. All right. Then after duplicating, we need to only select that composition, only the composition. So from here, we are going to go choose columns. So what columns do we need? So I'm going to pick all my choose columns. All right, so here we are going to navigate to here. So we're going to pick male below 18 years, female below 18 years, male above 18 years, female below 18 years, and then the unique identifier, which is index. Together with this, then select OK. And we're going to have something like this. We can rename this to age, like this, age category, like this. And then from here, we are going to just highlight this. All right, so we're going to highlight only these categories and leave out the index. This index is going to help us connect back to the mother table. So from here, we are going to unpivot this so that we are able to calculate everything as a whole. So I right click anywhere on these headers and select unpivot. And pivot columns, not other columns, and pivot the selected columns like this. All right, so it's going to convert this into rows so that you have something like this. All right, so this is the household number 1, household number 2. So in household number 1, for male below 18 years, we have 2. Female below 18 years, we have 3. Male above 18 years, we have 1. And female above 18 years, we have 1. All right, so this methodology also works the same way if you have multiple select questions. For multiple select questions that have already been split into individual columns, you also analyze them in this manner. Also, if you have also those questions that usually have the option of others, please specify. This is also how you analyze it, so that you're able to also pick what was there, what the researcher has stipulated, and what extra that was mentioned. All right. So for that kind of setup, you usually have to unpivot. All right. Now, so you can see that household number 1, these were the values. Household number 2, these were the values. You can see in household number 2, we did not have any female above 18 years. You can see it was a score of 0. All right. Now, the next thing that we need to do is to connect this data set, this age category, to the DR, to the main data set, and link it using the household index. So inside here, we also have a household index. So how do we link it? We can only link it using the Power Pivot. We said the Power Pivot is used for data modeling. And in data modeling, it's all about connecting different data sources. The way it is this one right now, we cannot analyze it, right? But we can be able to link it to the mother data source so that we're able to analyze it properly, right? Now, from here, you can go directly and say close and load to. All right. So under load 2, you're going to have an option. All right. So here, I do not need to create another table. I'm just only going to create a connection. So create connection and make sure add this data to the data model. So for this to happen, we said you have to have first turned on Power Pivot. right? You can go, but you can revisit the previous videos and see how we did Power Pivot, how to turn on Power Pivot, all right? So click OK. All right. So once you have this, you can see it's going to load. This is what you have in your Power Pivot. All right. So the next thing for now, okay, it's still doing something. Okay, I think it's done. Just give it some time. All right, 972 rows, but this data is not connected. So to connect it, we are going to go to Power Pivot here. All right, this Power Pivot, maybe let me first close this. So from Power Pivot, you select Manage. Right? It's going to open up the Power Pivot window. So let's give it some time. Don't worry, it's setting up its own thing. Once it's done, it will just pop up the window. But after it opens Power Query, it's going to be it's going to be quite fast. It's only when we are opening Power Query for the first time that it has to look at the data models and how data is connected. So in here, you can see we have our main data source here, DR data, and then this is the data that we want to analyze, all right, that we have actually transformed. So it came from the main data source, it's here, it has been transformed, and now we want to connect it back to DR data, all right? So from the Home tab, this is the Power Pivot window, all right? You're going to see all the data sets that you have loaded into your data model. All right, we usually say that it's always good to build a very robust data model because it will actually make sure that your data analysis is actually very seamless and very accurate. So from here, this is a data table view. Now we need to change it to our data model under here. So we have data view, then we're going to change to diagram view, all right? So under diagram view here, we get to see how our data is connected, all right? And then we can either delete some connections or we can add more connections. So just give it some time. Okay, here it is. So this is our age category, All right, I can put it here, or I can just maybe have it here for the time being. So the next thing that you need to know is that these two data sets at least need to have a column in each, a column here and a column here that is storing the same kind of data. All right, so I already know that here under DR data, this is the main data from our survey tool. It has index, right? And this index is unique for every household. But when you come under age category, the index, we have multiple indexes. Like if it's one here, one index, one household here can have multiple indexes here because it's going to reference the various age categories that we have inside this table. All right, the male under 18, female under 18, male above 18, female above 18. So here is going to be 1 to 4, all right, or even more, right, based on how your data is structured. So how do we make the connection? We highlight this index, drag and drop it on the index where we have matching data. Right? So it's going to create a connection of 1 to many. You can see now it's 1 to many. So this becomes our dimension table or our descriptive table, right? Once this has been set up, it becomes now very easy for us to actually create our pivot table. Now, once you have a data model, your pivot table is going to come from this. Your pivot table has to come from your Power Pivot. If you try and load it using the normal table, the normal pivot table, it will not make this connection. So it has to come from here. So every time you want to create a pivot table from a data model, you use this Power Pivot, then you go to pivot table. So when you're inside this pivot table, right? So where do I need to create my pivot table? So I'm going to say, and maybe I can say existing, then here. And then from here, I'm going to say, I want this pivot table to come, let me place it somewhere. Let me put some space. Let me place it here. All right. So make sure this has actually reflected here and select OK. And then OK. All right. So you're going to see it's going to create your template here. All right. So from there, you can actually now visualize the field list by going to analyze and selecting field list. Now from here, you have all the tables. All right. So to start you off, you can say you want to get age data here. All right. So we have the attribute. You can rename it later. Now it's going to show you all the age groups. And then we're also going to count the value, sum. So here we want to sum, all right, because we're trying to calculate the number of people. So from the target population, this is how it has been organized. This is the proportions of these different age groups, right? Now, if you want to go ahead, you can actually visualize this data by your villages, right? So if you're going to maybe to do by villages, you can come here and put it like this. All right. And then you come to your parent table. You see the parent table, DR here. So this DR, we want to visualize this age by what? By village. Let me bring this village here under rows. And you can see now it has actually structured it. So for every village, we can, I don't know whether this is a village, I'm not sure. You need to do some, I was looking at your data set.
Yeah, it's name of green as well.
Yes, yes. This means you'll have to go and fine tune your XLS form, right? whereby where the questions are mandatory, you have to make it mandatory. I don't know. I don't know. Unajua kutengeneza form na XLS form za ODK? Are you able to?
We'll only give it and upload it. I don't know how to.
Okay. You know how to do it?
I don't know.
Okay. Now you can go to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Daniel Nangelo. I have done. Let me maybe. Time iko ngapi? Wacha tu nikuonyeshe tu saizi mara moja. There's a YouTube channel where I've talked about how to design XLS forms, all right? Yes? Yes. I just maybe there's a link here. Just let me show you. It won't take time. We're not going to go through the video. Utaenda tu kuona baadaye peke yake. I just wanted to show you what the video is. Okay, just do it like this. Just search for my name, Daniel Nangelo on YouTube, or even on Google. Just Daniel. All right, there it is. So tuko na hizi hapa. Unaona hizi hapa? There are so many. What we are looking for, we can switch to videos here. All right. So let's just go directly into the channel. This one here, how to design survey forms using XLS form. It's 1 hour, right? So just let me just share this to the link. Tutachukua hapo kwa chat. Let me share it to the chat. How the mode one on this particular column, you can see we have the various examples on how these particular letters are used within your form. Then we have these others, we have equal to. So later on, you can go and access this video, all right? It will take you through everything you need to know on how to design your forms on XLS form. Sawa sawa. If you have any challenge, you can always reach out to me. Alafu tunaweza angalia nini ingine tunaweza ongezea. But this is going to give you a very good starting point. But I also have a masterclass on how to, training on mobile data collection using ODK or COBOL, using ODK and COBOL, whereby we'll take you through everything. that you need to know when you are actually designing survey tools in support of food security and livelihood programs. Sawa sawa. Kwanza anza na hii, then later we can do a follow up and see now vile sasa zote zinaingiliana. You do understand now that in food security there's a component of actually you building your tools. In food security, these days we don't use paper questionnaires, we use the ODK forms. All right. So answer na hii, then we can have a follow up maybe in a week or something. But if you can do it today and maybe we can have a session tomorrow, it's still okay for you. All right. So this is how we do it. So from here, make sure you design your survey forms properly, because a well-designed tool will also mean that you are going to end up with high quality data. All right. And the reverse is the same. If you do not design your tools properly, you're also going to have something like this. You see? Yes. So from here, this is how we usually do it. So you feel free to decide how you want to organize this data. Sawa sawa. Any question up to this bit?
Yes.
Pardon? All right. If kama hakuna maswali ingine, kuna swali ingine?
No.
Sawa sawa, usikuwe na wasiwasi. Wewe endelea kuanalyze na kutengeneza hii report. If you hit any challenges, please reach out. I'm ready to help you. Sawa sawa.
Hii report utanimalizia ama?
Nataka nikumalizie? Okay, sawa. Nitakumalizia basi, nitakumalizia. Lakini sasa si utaongeza chai? Ongeza chai.
Pale hapo kaandika badala ya satisfaction survey kaandika post BDM survey, PDM.
Post
distribution monitoring report.
Sijasikia vizuri.
Post distribution.
Hebu kuna kelele hapo kwako. Sijui uko wapi lakini ni sawa. Mesema drought, district drought survey. Ama umesema hivi? Okay, wacha ningoje hiyo chat. Post distribution monitoring. Hapo kwako kuna kelele.
Kuna kelele? Unasikia kelele ama kuna saizi?
Saizi hakuna, imeenda.
Yes. Post distribution monitoring. Yes. No, pia nione Daniel umenisaidia kusema kweli.
Haina shida.
2022 years. You taught me a lot. In fact, you taught me a lot.
I'm glad umejifundisha kitu. So I'm just going maybe to copy everything here and put it on the
and this table, this report you are unitengeneza itakuwa reference kwangu. Any report I will try to adopt your style, this style, because every project, if every project will normally have minimum 5 reports. We have baseline survey, we do BDM, we do midterm, we do end line, you know. Wadada kuandika 12 page Word document.
Hii ni nzuri.
Hii ni nzuri, you can understand, yeah. It's the best way to communicate, yeah. Even you know you will not even give a burden your counterpart. You know, the ability to define and review, they will come to know the results. Something, but yeah, 15 page report, that I was someone.
Watu wengi hawasomi document.
Anasema Mohamed, hebu niambie nini recommendation na conclusion tunaambia. Hizo zingine mimi soma hapa. Anakuambia hebu what are you concluding? And then what's your recommendation? Full stop. But here akiona ni 1 minute tu na unaona even you can compare. This time and you will enjoy, you know, this very convincing way of presenting your report.
Very true. Very true. Alafu hapa unaweza weka jina yako. Hii unaweza songeza hapa chini. It's always good when you're writing a report, unaweka contact ya analyst ama ule mwenye prepare your report, so that kama kuna follow up questions, it's easy to make that follow up. Yes. Sawa. Iko sawa. So mimi, I think this is what I had for you today. Na vile nimesema hii ndio ya mwisho, but we can still have follow up service, follow up sessions. So wewe utaniambia when you are ready to take GIS. Ulikuwa umesema wash? Ulikuwa umesema wash.
Mbona GIS ni nini sasa? Sijui sikia yote.
Nasikia GIS.
Sijui sikia nini?
GIS is Geographic Information Systems. All right. So let me just quickly give you an overview of GIS. GIS is a technique of using location-based technologies to not only analyze data, but also to report. Mona. Na inaanza pia na mobile data collection. So it's a whole course on its own. Maybe you can join. I have also provide courses on GIS. So kama unataka kutengeneza vitu kama hizi, maybe let me quickly show you what I have here. I think I have something. The last one that I had, this was then. Let me take this.
Yes, well, you know what the problem, you know, in the Somali context, you know, your place, what people, many who were there before you, is it your predecessor?
Pardon?
You know what, you know, sometimes when you are working in a particular humanitarian, you have to leave some legacy, you know, you have to bring some initiatives. Yeah. You know, because you mbele yangu kuonyesha hizo report ametengeneza, you will surprise madam. Hii ni sasa unasema what was going on in this organization. So that's why I have decided to bring a new way of doing things.
Very true. Very true. And now kunajua monitoring and evaluation.
Yes, enough. If I leave behind this organization, at least like whoever is coming behind me, at least you should find some guideline, some material which was they are ready, some reports. We can at least use them as a reference. You see, because you know this department imeanza from scratch.
ndio mnaifanya kwa mara ya kwanza, usijali, mtashika tu, itakuwa robust with the time. So I have a course that it's advanced GIS mapping, spatial data management, and analytics with GIS-based visualization and reporting using Power BI, ODK, and QGIS. So kule, most of the time, charts ni nzuri, but if you are supporting programs that are actually, so why do we use GIS? GIS allows you to map your project areas and project size, number one. Number two, it allows you to support operations za M&E in terms of data collection. All right. So at the end of the day, if you have these households, you want to know where did you map the easy households, where are they? GIS has a number of benefits. Number one, it makes sure that the data in your nayo, it's actually trustworthy. All right. Then the other part that where GIS comes in robustly, ni kwa analysis and reporting. All right. So like if you see here, maybe let me see whether we have, you can see this. Did I show you these maps? In dashboard, but you can see iko na component ya map. Na hii map in a report. So instead of having many different pages, unatumia tu hii map. And inside each map, ukihover your cursor here, ina pop up hizo variables, hizo indicators. Na ina report what those indicators are doing. Maybe let me just. Unaona kama hii ina report February, ina report March, ina report April, ina report June, na any other kind of activity yenye inaendelea pale. All right. So maybe let me reduce it a little bit. You should take this because it's very powerful. Squeezy, they want people who have knowledge of GIS. We're going to talk about the GIS thought process. This is in type of analysis report on GIS. You can see tumetumia tables, tumetumia visuals, alafu tumetumia map. Na iko very interactive. Every time you hover over this, currently you've seen, you're going to love Power BI. You are going to love Power BI, and Power BI with the time, you should consider doing all your reporting platform. You should consider taking it to Power BI. Power BI is a very robust reporting platform. Na ina combine yote, whether uko kwa GIS, whether uko kwa hii normal, ina support yote, na bado ina link to ODK and Kobo. All right. So, unaona hapa. So if you're doing follow-ups, these households, all right, if you want to do follow-ups, if you want to send messages, if you want to send emails, iko hapa. Unaona hii ina measure plot of land. Hii ina capture details. And unaona hapa, click here to view directions on the map. You can also do GPS navigation from where you are to that particular household. Alafu pia inakupea summaries. Hii yote ni GIS ndani ya ODK. Umeona? Hii sasa ni GIS in data collection. All right? So when you have it, you can now come and track your household, your beneficiaries, you can track them here. All right? You can track them on the phone, you can track them on your Power BI platform reporting. Hii ni M&E ecosystem. All right? When it comes to analysis, there are a number of things you can do. You can build your maps that are actually not just normal maps, but they are maps that are actually communicating information. Naona kama hii ni map of schools, right? These are GIS-based system, right? So each of these is a school. Now for every school, we have the details about those schools, right?
Coordination, everything.
Yes, the number of pupils, the number of classes, unaona? Iko hapa.
Yes.
Sawa sawa. Alafu tukikuja hapa chini under analysis sasa, you can analyze. Umeona, you can do comparisons, you can get insights. All right? Tusonge. Na hiyo Power BI inatumia Power Query. Right? There's a mapping functionality in Excel. The only problem it requires huwa inataka internet at all times. If you are going to use GIS in Excel, let me show you where. Kwa Excel, I'm going to do a video for you specifically, maybe to introduce you to mapping. There is this component here under data. Sorry, is it under okay, let me go with the insert. Ona hapa tumekuwa tukiinsert these normals. We have hii component ya maps in GIS. It never used to be there. It's a very new thing that is on Excel. So I'm going to do a video specifically for you uone vile ya kutumia hii. Sawa. And then although hii itakuwa tu basic, hii itakuwa basic GIS. If you want to have the real GIS, ujue jinsi ya kutengeneza GIS, to use GIS technology in support of your food security programs, then you'll need to come for a very good master class, pia ya 7 days, the same way we've been doing. Sawa. So let's maybe look further in analysis. Ona sasa kama hapa. Hii ni dynamic. Let me maybe pop up one. Let me pop up a live GIS platform. Is it a Power BI? I think it's Power BI. Continue nimalize ni save time instead of going through this Word document. So this is Power BI platform. It's online. So anybody with the link to this should be able to access this. All right. So we have different pages. Right. You can report on the various items here. Unaweza kuja page 2 hapa. Okay. Sasa unaona kama hapa. Hapa tuko na trend line. Hii ni over time. Like for your case, as you continue getting your data, after 3 months, after the first quarter, you should be able to see month 1, month 2, if it was January, February, April, May, all the way to December, what has been the trend. All right. Ukikuja hapa, number 2, we have these are spark lines, all right? Inakuonyesha kama indicator was reached, target was reached or not, all right? So page 2, we have these tables here. Sorry, we have these visuals and more tables, and we also have slices. All right. So you can see hata hapa kuna ile kitu kwa tunasema. Naona dynamic labels and titles. So every time una pick, everything else on the graph in update to reflect the same. If you go to Germany, it is the same. Let's look at what we have in page. Hii ilikuwa too rough for training. I used this to train somebody. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Page 5. Now this here is the real GIS iko hapa ndani sasa. Unaona? So hapa we have our data here, we have our other visuals and graphs here zile tunataka kuonyesha. So kama hapa unaona hapa ni total sales, hapa ni country, channel partners, enterprise, government, mid market, small businesses and total. All right? So hivi ndio itakuwa kwa graph. This is how it's going to look on your chart, and then this is how it's going to look in GIS. Umeona? So if you hover your cursor hapa, umeona, in a report what's happening here. Now, and you can continue adding more things that you want it to show here. So for example, if I come here and pick segment here, government, itanionyesha mahali ziko kwa table. It shows me France, United States, Mexico, and these are the values over time. And then hapa itanionyesha mahali hiyo iko. So you can see it's only here and here. If I pick maybe small businesses, you can pick this and see where they are. Sawa sawa. So inakuonyesha kwa map hizi vitu where are they happening? I think it's still the same thing. Let me maybe clear this, and maybe we select country. So we want to get a report on maybe Germany. So click Germany, it also filters your data to only display for Germany. So apia kwa map inakuonyesha mahali Germany iko. Umeona? That is one. Tuko na kitu ingine pia inaitwa choroplets. Maybe choroplets, don't know whether, let me see. Choroplets. All right, I think this one is a very good example. Umeona hapa. So instead of kuangalia tu, you can use colors kuonyesha ile inafanya vizuri, ile inafanya vibaya, where the target was reached, where it was not reached. So kama here in 2021 by district revenue. So here less revenue, as the color becomes deep, it's more revenue. So you can see here, it has low revenue and this one has high revenue. Equal medium. All right. So these are choroplets. Can see even also this one. Each color is representing a data values. All right. And then you can also, naona kama hapa, these are the various beneficiaries of this program. Na mali wako on the ground. You can see this. Hii yote ni GIS. And technology has made it very easy that hii vitu siku hizi ni rahisi. As long as wewe uko tu na willing ya kujua, 7 days, the same way we've done Excel, 7 days. At the end of the day, report yako sasa itakuwa a very powerful report. Let me see whether we have another one. This is still choroplet. Umeona? So unaona kama hizi. Oh, sorry. Hizi ni location. Unaona kama hii kazi yako, nimeona iko na GPS. I'm going to show you how to work with that GPS data. Right? So unaona kama hii inaonyesha mahali hawa watu, hizi houses mahali tulizichukua. On the map.